Hi, everyone. Welcome to Forbes Talks. I am here with my colleague, Arianna Johnson, and we are talking, Arianna, about Omicron subvariant XBB.1.5. How many of these variants have we had at this point?
Yeah, so there have actually been five variants so far. So there's been Omicron, Delta AY42, Beta, and then of course Alpha, which was the original variant. But the thing is there are subvariants within these variants. So XBB.1.5 is a subvariant of Omicron. And so yeah, those have been the main
But
variants.
so it's in the news because it is essentially surging at this point, right? How contagious is it?
Yeah, so this subvariant is highly contagious. Um, Currently, there's about, especially in the Northeast, it makes up around 73% of cases in the Northeast. And it's the most contagious, the most prevalent subvariant in the country right now. It makes up about 43% of cases so far. So, yes, it's highly contagious, highly transmissible.
But of course, contagious and severity is very, very different things. So it seems like it's not quite as devastating as certainly early in the pandemic.
Right, exactly. So the symptoms for this new variant are more cold-like. So instead of like high fevers and things of that nature, you're looking at symptoms like a cough, congestion, runny nose. So yes, the severity of symptoms isn't as strong as previously.
Is there any basis, like if we were to look, for example, at whether it's hospitalizations or rate of new infections? I don't even know if the data is as easy to glean at this point, but certainly hospitalizations would tell us something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And so when we're comparing the number of hospitalizations now to the peak, like around this time last year, January 2022, there were around 150,000 weekly hospitalizations then, whereas now it's about 5,700, excuse
Oh,
me,
5,700.
hospitalizations.
So it raises an interesting question since a lot of people are wondering how to prepare for it. First of all, is the vaccine the right way to go? Does this particular vaccine that's out protect against this subvariant?
Yes, absolutely. So, this vaccine, the booster, is a bivalent booster to protect against Omicron and its subvariants, which again, XBB.1.5 is. And so, what's interesting is only about like 15% of Americans who are eligible for the booster have gotten it. And so, getting your booster is definitely the first step in protecting against this new subvariant.
And the other question is about the public health reaction, which is in the past, there have been times when we've locked down, where restaurants have closed. I think we're past that at this point. But should people be avoiding public places, or is there any guidance from the CDC as to how seriously to take this subvariant if it's a tantamount to a common cold?
Yeah, so the CDC still recommends masking in public areas. And so still recommends social distancing, especially if you've come in contact with someone with who's been infected with the virus. And so there's still restrictions or not restrictions, but methods put into place like
Mm-hmm.
masking and social distancing that the CDC still recommends. But as far as like being outside, there aren't any restrictions of masking outside. It really depends because the CDC labels different areas as high risk. And so it has different recommendations for like high risk, low risk, medium risk areas in the country.
So, what else do you think people need to know, whether it's in terms of the numbers that we're seeing or the degree of concern that people have? We're now into the third year of this pandemic, and what is this now becoming normalized? We should expect more variants and subvariants going forward, and it's just now part of the population, or is this the natural course of something that's going to die out and we'll move on?
Yeah, well, things like this, they tend to keep mutating when it comes to like the general public not being or having herd immunity. And so this virus is going to keep mutating. And whether or not it's going to keep getting contagious or transmissible, we don't really have answers to that yet. But yeah, like the Biden administration just, I believe 2 days ago, extended the COVID emergency warning until another 90 days, so until April. And so, yeah, I just think the biggest thing is to get that booster and protect against the variant and protect against the virus. So, yeah, that's the main thing.
That's good takeaway. Thanks, Arianna.